In one of our earlier videos, we talked about the 12 things we were most looking forward to when we got back to the UK. Since then, we've thought of another 9 things that we're looking forward to, and
If you stick around to the end, you'll discover the one thing that we really are not looking forward to when we return to the UK. Hi, I'm Susie.
hi, I'm Paul.
Welcome to Here and There with Him and Her. Join us as we share the ins and outs of our transatlantic journeys.
Get yourself a brew, settle down, get yourself a biscuit, and we'll talk to you now about the 9 more things that we're looking forward to when we return to the UK in a few months' time. And
If you stick around to the end, we've got one thing that we are not looking forward to.
first on our list of 9 things is the countryside and natural beauty of the UK. We've seen many beautiful landscapes and visited places when we've been in the US on our travels, like Yosemite in California and the Blue Ridge Mountains, close to where we live. But
I just miss the British countryside. We have been to some beautiful places, and the Americas are abundant with landscapes. They just don't have anything like the British countryside, whether it's a woodland or just a big field of hay or whatever. It just doesn't seem to be the same. And granted, we haven't travelled the whole width and breadth of the United States, but where we are, we don't walk around and see just what I would naturally see every day in people's gardens. So for me, that means like flowers like bluebells and snowdrops come the start of spring. We very rarely see a daffodil. We have seen tulips when we were up at the Biltmore,
Yeah.
but it's not like everybody has a nice fancy garden. We just, where we are here in North Carolina, we don't really have the climate, the
temperature? Is that the
temperature,
word you're looking for?
or even the soil type that really lets you grow a sort of typical British country garden.
Yeah.
And that's something that I am really looking forward to seeing again once we move back. Number 2 on our list is something that both of us miss, but somebody misses more than I do, and that is pubs.
Yeah, pubs are a special place for me. It's not just a place to go and have a drink. The bars in the US seem to be places just to go and get a drink in, but a pub is a complete
Or a meal.
or a meal. But a pub is a completely different thing, really. It is a public house. They're usually the social centre of a town or a village, the gathering spaces for events. Things happen there, pub quizzes, raffles, that kind of things. They might have pub teams for darts or football or things like that. So they're a social gathering place. And
If you ever need to know anything about the town, there's always going to be somebody in the pub
yeah.
that you can talk to, get advice from.
And it's just the sound of conversation, the fun, the banter. It's just
atmosphere.
it's something that we miss. Well, I miss very much.
Yeah.
The third thing we'd like to mention is a slower pace of life and a better life-work balance.
Yes, in the UK, work is seen as just that, really. It's work. It's a different pace. Over here in the US, I'm not saying that people don't work hard. What I'm saying is I think they work too hard. And it seems that they're never off. They never seem to switch off from work.
Yeah.
We mentioned in previous videos that we're both teachers. We teach high school. And that is one of the pitfalls of teaching, is that you can keep on working outside of school once you finish school. But I mean other people in the corporate world. We both, Paul and I, had previous careers before we went into teaching. And we can tell you that in the UK, once you leave work, that's it. You're not expected to think about it anymore. Like if your hours are 9 to 5, then you clock out at 5 and that's it. You don't think about work. You're not expected to be accessible on your phone. You're not expected to be picking up emails or looking at emails until you're back at work the next day.
I would say, though, sometimes that's kind of tied into where you are within an organisation as well.
I suppose so.
If you're high up earning the big money, then you're expected to be on call. But then if you don't particularly like that, you don't have to do it, do you?
I would also say in the UK, there is a better number of holidays or time off.
Statutory
paid time off,
Yeah.
yes, isn't it? Yeah. So when you get a job, I mean, your baseline of holidays, as in paid time off, is going to be 4 weeks. You are going to get 20 days. And that is in
Paid holiday.
also, then you have what we call bank holidays, which is kind of, I guess, the equivalent of a federal holiday over
Yeah.
here. But then, again, as standard, you will also have, sick days. Then you're not, like, obviously, if you are off sick a lot, they'd expect you to go and visit occupational health or something
Yeah.
and get a doctor's note. But, you don't, that's not part of your time off. You don't have to take from your tally of time off to cover your sick.
And the other thing is, if you work for a good employer, you'll accrue days for the number of years you've been there.
Right.
I worked for someone for best part of 20 years, and I had a ridiculous amount of holiday time available to me during the year. So it seems that employees are appreciated and are rewarded with holiday time.
And there's also now this, in a lot of employment, there's flexi time. So you can actually choose to work longer hours, say Monday to Thursday, and then leave half a day on a Friday. As long as you are covering your contracted hours, how you sort of, distribute that in the work week is kind of up to you. So you wouldn't have to necessarily take time off to cover like a doctor's appointment or a dentist appointment, because you could probably work like through your lunch or something and then take a couple of hours, and it's not going to eat into your paid time off.
Yeah.
Also, just a little bit on here, I would also say there's better maternity time and paternity time. So you are guaranteed a certain amount of I can't remember exactly what it is. We'll figure it out and mention it in the description below.
Mm-hmm.
But you are guaranteed. I know in teaching, if you are pregnant, you can have 9 months, up to 9 months of maternity. Males can have a month for paternity.
I'm not sure whether that's changed.
May have changed. Yeah. Yes, that's true. This is as of us leaving the UK, isn't it? So
things may have changed in the last 15 years. I don't think they've gone back. They could only
have
increased.
No.
Yeah.
So I think what I'm saying in the main is that in the UK, you can have a better work-life balance. You have more options.
Yeah.
So moving on to number 4 on our list, and that is a sense of history.
Yeah, I think this is my particular niche because I'm the history nerd, and one of the things that I miss is the access to historical sites, historical buildings that have a real sense of history around them. Cathedrals, castles, historic houses, landmarks, that kind of thing.
As much as we've appreciated history over here,
yes,
it is new history.
For example, just on my way to work every day, I'd go past dozens of historical buildings or famous places or things where there were firsts, world firsts, and you just don't get that sense of importance here. That's just to say that we're in quite a suburban area with not many old buildings within a great distance, and certainly not what we would call an old building.
Definitely not.
Yeah. Our 5th thing would be politeness and queuing. Now, don't get me wrong. Don't get us wrong. This is a cultural thing. It's a cultural difference. We're not judging or saying anything's wrong. It's just that there are differences between the two countries, and we don't want to upset anybody by this, but we do notice a big difference between
so
the two. Excuse me.
We're not saying they're not polite over here. They are. I think it's more to do with us being British, and we're very reserved.
Yeah.
And when we say queuing, I think they call it
lining.
Not lining.
Forming
a line.
Yeah.
Yes, as in, waiting in line for something. We call that queuing in the UK. And it's something that the British are very good at queuing. And that we just mean the etiquette of it. Like, nobody tries to break ranks. Nobody tries to get ahead. Everybody, if anybody did do that, we'd all look at each other and tut and roll our eyes. Very disapproving of it. Not necessarily speak up, But that's what we mean by this is like a cultural thing, isn't it? It's built in. If you bump into us, we will say sorry, even though it's not our fault. It's just that's our instinct. It's just something that is ingrained in us, and it's part of the Britishness. I would also say that it's a bit one of my things is personal space.
Yeah.
Being aware that there is a space. Part of this comes back to our jobs as well. Like we have students who just don't seem to understand that there is a zone of personal space. And so people can encroach, and it just makes us feel a bit more uncomfortable.
Awkward.
Yes, we feel very awkward. I mean, we're awkward anyway. It makes us feel
even more awkward.
So number 6 on our list of other things that we are looking forward to is just celebrating other holidays. So holidays, as in, days of remembrance or days of celebration. So we do have a lot of days in common with the US. We have St. Patrick's Day, for example. If you are Christian, then there'd be Christmas, and obviously New Year's and Easter. But there are certain days that are celebrated in the UK that you may not even heard of over here.
Yeah. So, for instance, the beginning of Lent, I know in New Orleans they'd celebrate Mardi Gras, but ours is a bit more reserved. Ours is Pancake Tuesday, which means roughly the same thing.
Yes.
But it's all revolving around having a feast before Lent and getting rid of the fat in your house.
We do that by making pancakes.
It keeps the lemon juice people in a business for the rest of the year because it's traditionally lemon juice and sugar on them. Every 5th of November, we have Bonfire Night, which is really awkward to explain to anybody, but it's the burning of an effigy of the man who tried to blow up Parliament back in 1605, I think is the most succinct way to say it.
We celebrate the fact that he failed.
Yes. Or, well, depends.
Well, the plot failed.
Some people would say that Guy Fawkes was the last man to enter Parliament with honest intentions, but, I would never say that.
I would say, just an idea. I don't know if you've ever seen that film V for Vendetta.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, of course. Yeah,
that's The Mask is based off of Guy Fawkes, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. What else do we have? Boxing Day. Now, in Ireland, Boxing Day is a bank holiday, but it's called St. Stephen's Day. In the UK, and I think some other Commonwealth countries, it's still referred to as Boxing Day. So the 26th of December is Boxing Day.
And that's based on boxing up things for the less fortunate people.
Yeah, it's about making donations. There were
donations.
Traditionally boxes outside churches where people would leave donations for the less fortunate.
And then, as I mentioned, pretty much worldwide, everybody celebrates St. Patrick's Day, but there are other saints' days. Yeah,
the UK, of course, is made up of England, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, and each one of those nations has a patron saint. So 23rd of April, Shakespeare's birthday, and St. George's Day.
That's for England.
Yeah, that's the English one. There's St. Andrew's Day for Scotland, St. David's Day for Wales. Get me nations mixed up. And, of course, St. Patrick's Day for Ireland.
Which we call St. Paddy's Day, not Patty's Day. But I'll get back to that in another video, probably.
I think so.
Moving on to number 7 on our list, and that is us feeling a better sense of security.
Again, we don't want to upset anybody with our own particular perspectives, but the incidences of gun violence are a lot higher in the United States because written into the law is everybody is allowed to have a gun. And obviously in the UK, that's not the case. Right. So that threat is not hovering over you. Most of the time you do not think about it here, but then incidents happen and
you just turn on the local news, don't you?
It's brought close to home, and especially in the jobs that we do. Every year seems to take a little longer with the active shooter training.
Right. And it is depressing, unfortunately, that it has to be a fact of life over here.
Yeah.
For now, I'm hoping that does change. I think we both hope that that does change.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't feel that sense of security that we had back in the UK. I think we just miss the everyday sense that, you know, you can get mad if somebody cuts you off on the road and not have to stop yourself and remind yourself that, oh, they might have a gun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the eighth thing that we miss a bit from the UK is the British sense of humour. We miss the sarcasm and cynicism in our conversations with our friends here. Sometimes it's lost on our colleagues, isn't it, when we talk to them?
Yes. I know that when I first started teaching over here, and this was, again, when Paul had to go back to the UK to finish his green card application. And the school I was teaching at, they suspended all classes because they were going to have a spirit week. Well, that's not something we have in the UK.
Yeah.
And spirit, I don't know, it was all a lot of peppiness. And to be perfectly frank, I told them that I really don't do peppiness.
Yes.
I do sarcasm. I do cynicism. I don't really do peppiness. And we have tried.
We've tried.
It's just,
We've
again,
tried to fit in. We've tried to be peppy.
It's that British reservedness, really. It's just not natural
for us to
have this, even when we're happy, even when things are going well for us, we are still cynical.
Yes.
We are still just waiting for the
other shoe to drop. Yeah.
So it's just not in our nature. And I think for me specifically in this category is I just don't get some American humor.
Yeah,
at all. It just goes
comedy. You just don't get it here.
No. So I'm looking forward to being back in the UK where I feel I get more things because it matches my sense of humour.
The ninth thing we'd like to include on our list today is food shopping at Marks and Spencer's, or M&S as it's often referred to.
Yeah, so this is a shop in the UK that sells clothes, men's and women's and children's clothes, but really majority of the time we would be going for the food. The M&S food selection is kind of, food, but at an extra higher level. It's really tasty, quality, and some would say even sexier food. Yes? They used to run adverts with a really sexy voiceover just to get across that this is not just food, it's M&S food. I really miss this, especially around Christmas time, because they would put on these extra things that you only get at Christmas. And my mom would get this really nice chestnut stuffing at Christmas time, and I do miss that. You said that they do really good.
Oh, the puddings are very good, and the desserts, I should say, are very good at Christmas. Yeah.
And they have nice chocolates. But even every day, if you worked near the high street, you would probably walk to M&S to buy their sandwiches.
Yeah,
they
I worked in the centre of Manchester, and I often would pop down to Marks and Spencer's and get myself my lunch from there, a sandwich and a packet of crisps, and that would set me up for the afternoon.
That's probably another thing we'll talk about in another video, the differences between American and British sandwiches, because there's quite a vast difference in sandwiches.
Yeah.
Anyway, suffice to say, I am looking forward to going back and being able to shop at Marks and Spencer's. So those were the 9 more things that we're really looking forward to when we move back to the UK. But if you stuck around this long, now you're going to learn the one thing that we really are not looking forward to.
And that's getting used to driving on narrow roads again. I've been spoiled driving in America because the roads are so wide. But on the excursions when we've gone back to the UK in emergencies and for breaks, holiday breaks, it's been difficult to get used to driving down narrow roads, either in the countryside. When we went to the Lake District once, it was like both sides of the car were being touched by the hedges at the side of the road. And, of course, driving down narrow roads with parked vehicles on either side as well is also a bloody nightmare.
And I don't help him much because I most of the time either do this or just close my eyes because everything's
that makes me feel so confident driving, I can tell you.
It's just tight, isn't it? Even
Yeah.
the lanes on the motorways, the highways,
So it's
coming from the US to the UK, it just seems like everything shrunk.
yes. So that's something we're just going to have to adapt to. Thanks for watching Here and There with Him and Her. Hope you enjoyed our chat about 9 more things that we are looking forward to seeing when we go back to the UK.
If you like the video, please make sure you give us a thumbs up and subscribe, as we are constantly working to put new content onto our channel. If you are new to our channel, please make sure you hit the subscribe button wherever we may be placing that.
And the notification bell.
And hit the notification bell so you know when we drop something new.
We're off now for another cup of tea and some more biscuits, so take care till we see you again, and bye-bye for now.
Cheers.